My friend, I need to tell you something that maybe no one has ever told you before. Life isn't fair. I know that's hard to hear, and I wish I could say otherwise. Some people are born into families with money, with connections, with access to everything. And some people are born with nothing, with no advantage whatsoever, having to fight for every crumb from day one. Those who lost the birth lottery will need to run twice as hard just to reach the same place. That's the reality. And if you're here watching this video, I have a feeling you already know that. But here's what fascinates me. Even in this unequal game, some people manage to flip the entire board. People who started from zero with no inheritance, no connections, no degree from an elite university. And when they get rich, everyone around them says the same thing. How lucky! But it wasn't luck, my friend. There are signs, some so subtle that the person themselves doesn't even notice, that show someone is on the path to wealth. And the craziest part is that most of these people already have these signs within them and simply don't recognize it. Maybe you're one of them and don't even know it. I'm here to show you something I learned after years of watching people who came from scarcity and built real wealth. I'm not talking about winning the lottery or becoming an influencer overnight. I'm talking about real patterns that repeat themselves in people who transform their own financial reality. If you stick with me until the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what separates those who build wealth from those who spend their entire lives complaining that the world is unfair. And yes, the world is unfair. But what you do with that unfairness defines everything. So let's get into it. There's a phrase that gets repeated out there as if it were some great truth. Money won't solve your problems. And every time someone says that, it's usually someone who already has enough money not to worry about the bills at the end of the month. It's easy to philosophize about the value of simple things when the fridge is full and the rent is paid. But for someone counting every penny just to survive, that phrase sounds like a bad joke. The truth is that money does solve a very specific type of problem, and pretending it doesn't is the first step toward never getting anywhere. Think of it this way. There are two types of problems in anyone's life. The first type is the most urgent, and it involves basic needs. We're talking about housing, food, healthcare, and safety. When someone can't pay the rent or is choosing between buying food and buying medicine, the solution to that suffering has a very clear name. More money. And recognizing that doesn't make you a superficial person. It makes you someone who's honest with themselves. Now, when those basic problems are solved, that's when the second type comes in. These are the problems that money truly can't reach. Happiness, purpose, love, and inner peace. These things depend on who you are on the inside, on your relationships, on your daily choices. A guy can have 10 million in the bank and still feel completely empty. That's real. So yes, you can be rich and unhappy. But the question that few people ask is this. Why not aim to be rich and happy at the same time? And that's where the trap lies. Society has created a convenient narrative that wanting money is somehow negative. That good people don't concern themselves with wealth. Meanwhile, those same people spend 40 years of their lives in jobs they hate, earning a salary that barely covers expenses. If someone looks at that situation and thinks it's normal, something is very wrong. Those who truly build wealth understand something that most people ignore. Money is a tool, and like any tool, the result depends on who's using it. When I look back and think about the times I was most financially tight, I never bought into this story that money didn't matter. Even on the worst days, I knew I needed more resources to change my reality. And you know what helped me? I stopped listening to people who had already solved their own financial problems telling me that money wasn't important. That kind of mindset is like a pair of handcuffs you put on your own wrists. And the key to breaking free is simply accepting that yes, money matters, and going after it without guilt. Now, accepting that money matters is just the beginning. Because there's a huge difference between wanting to get rich and actually doing something about it. Most people get stuck in that space between desire and action, and that's exactly where things start to get interesting. Everyone knows someone who has an incredible idea. That friend who shows up at dinner with their eyes lit up, saying they found the opportunity of a lifetime. They explain everything with so much passion that you almost ask to invest alongside them. Then 6 months go by, you run into that same friend and ask how the project is going. And the answer is always the same. I haven't started yet. The government's in the way, the economy is bad, the timing isn't right. And just like that, that idea that was worth millions slowly dies, suffocated under a mountain of excuses. And here's what nobody wants to hear. An idea that never leaves your head is worth exactly zero. It could be the greatest business plan in the world, something that would revolutionize an entire market. If you don't take the first step, it's worth nothing. It's like having a winning lottery ticket and never going to cash it in. The people who truly build wealth understood something fundamental. Imperfect action will always be worth more than a perfect plan that never leaves the paper. Always. Think about this. When a wealthy person hits an obstacle, they might scratch their head for a while. They might get frustrated. They might even mutter a few words under their breath. But they don't stop. They find an alternative path, they ask for help, they try a different approach. Now, when someone with a scarcity mindset hits the same obstacle, what happens? It's fate. It wasn't meant to be. I just don't have luck. And that's it, the journey ends right there. The difference between these two people isn't talent, it isn't intelligence, and most of the time it isn't even money. It's the decision to keep walking even when the road is full of potholes. Let me give you an example I always use. Imagine you want to open an online store. You know nothing about e-commerce, you don't understand digital marketing, and you can barely operate a computer properly. Most people would look at that and say, "That's not for me." Now, a person with an action mindset would do things differently. They'd open YouTube and watch free tutorials on Shopify or Amazon FBA. They'd pick up a book like The Lean Startup by Eric Ries or The $100 Startup by Chris Gilbo. In 2 months, without spending almost anything, that person would already know more about e-commerce than 90% of the people around them. There's a window of opportunity that opens when you have an idea and feel that fire inside. That window doesn't stay open forever. The longer you wait to act, the more that flame keeps shrinking, and the voices of doubt keep getting louder and louder in your head. What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose money? What if people laugh at me? These questions are normal, everyone has them. The difference is that those who get rich act in spite of them, and those who stay put let those voices win the battle. And look, taking action and overcoming obstacles is essential. I won't lie to you, but there's no point in having all that energy if, the moment money comes in, it slips through your fingers like water. Because what you do with every single penny you earn can be the difference between working your entire life and building something that works for you. Let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you paused before buying something and asked yourself, is this going to put money in my pocket or take money out of my pocket? Most people never ask that question. And it's not out of malice. It's because nobody teaches this in school. We learn to solve quadratic equations, memorize country capitals, but nobody sits down with us and explains the difference between an asset and a liability. And that difference, my friend, is what separates those who build wealth from those who spend their entire lives chasing their own tails. Here's how it works. Anyone's financial life is like a seesaw. On one side are the things that drain your money. Luxury cars, designer clothes, the newest phone that comes out every year, gadgets you use for 2 weeks and then forget in a drawer. On the other side are the things that bring money to you. Rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, a small business that generates revenue even while you sleep. Every financial decision you make tips that seesaw to one side. And over time, those small movements create massive results. Let me give you an example that makes this very visual. 2 people earn the same salary. Let's say $5,000 a month. The first one buys a financed car worth $40,000. High payments, expensive insurance, fuel, and maintenance. By the end of the year, that car cost about $15,000 and is worth less than when it was purchased. The second person takes that same $15,000 and invests it. They put a portion into ETFs like the S&P 500, which historically returns about 10% per year. They put another portion into real estate investment trusts that pay monthly dividends. 10 years later, the first person has an old car. The second has a portfolio that grows on its own. And here comes the part that few people talk about. The first $100,000 is the hardest money you'll ever save. This is the phase where you feel like nothing is happening, that the effort isn't paying off, that the returns are laughable. A lot of people give up at exactly this point. But it's after this milestone that the magic of compound interest truly starts working in your favor. Einstein supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. And when you see your money earning returns on top of what it already earned, you understand why. Now, I know what a lot of people think. Investing is risky. I'd rather keep my money in a savings account where it's safe. And look, I understand that fear. Nobody wants to lose what they worked so hard to earn. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Leaving your money sitting in a savings account is also an investment decision, and it's usually a bad one. Inflation eats away at the value of your money little by little every month. So that safe money is actually losing purchasing power while you sleep. There are intermediate options like money market funds or treasury bonds that offer better returns with controlled risk. The important thing is to start, even if it's small. But you know what's curious? You could have the best investment strategy on the planet, know everything about assets and liabilities, and still fall behind. Because there's one ingredient that multiplies all of this, and most people stop using it the moment they receive their diploma. How many people do you know who, when they have a day off from work or a free weekend, spend the entire time watching TV series or playing video games? I bet quite a few. And look, there's nothing wrong with relaxing once in a while. Everyone needs to switch off. The problem is when that becomes the only thing a person does with their free time. Because while they're on the 5th episode in a row of a show they'll forget in 2 weeks, someone out there is reading a book, taking a class, learning a new skill. And that difference, repeated day after day, month after month, creates a gap between those who build wealth and those who keep wondering why life never changes. There's something about learning that's fascinating. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you still don't know. And that's not discouraging, it's liberating. Because when you accept that you don't know everything, you open yourself up to opportunities that were previously completely off your radar. It's like a video game player who discovers a secret area of the map they didn't even know existed. Suddenly, there's a whole world of possibilities right there. The people who get rich aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who never stop equipping themselves with new knowledge. They treat learning like a weapon, and they stockpile that weapon for a lifetime. And when I talk about learning, I'm not just talking about getting a college degree or an MBA. I'm talking about accessible things anyone can do today. Watch YouTube channels that teach about personal finance, investments, and entrepreneurial mindset. Listen to podcasts during your commute to work. Knowledge has never been as accessible as it is right now, and most people simply ignore it. The same people who say they don't have time to read can tell you in detail what happened in the latest episode of The Trending Show. Now, there's a detail that changes everything in this journey, and few people pay attention to it. The people around you. There's a saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I know it sounds cliché, but I've seen it play out in practice more times than I can count. And it works the other way around too. If you spend all your time with people who complain about the economy, who say everything is going wrong, who blame the government for every problem, guess what's going to happen? You'll start thinking exactly the same way. Negativity is contagious, my friend. It's like a virus that spreads slowly until it takes over everything. Now, if you surround yourself with people who talk about opportunities, who are building projects, who are investing and learning, that rubs off too. You start raising your standards, believing it's possible, acting differently. Not because someone forced you, but because the environment naturally pulled you upward. And along with learning and good company, there's one more element that makes this whole equation work. Something that might seem simple in theory, but in practice separates those who keep dreaming from those who actually transform their own lives. And it has everything to do with how you see yourself. My friend, if you've made it this far, I need you to understand something. Everything I've shared in this video is worth absolutely nothing if it stays only in your head. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. And you're not here to be entertained. You're here because you want to change your life. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and I want you to answer honestly. What are you doing with your money today? Is it working for you or are you working for it? What are the excuses you tell yourself every week for not taking the first step? And are the people around you pulling you up or dragging you down? I know that change isn't easy. If it were, everyone would be rich. The difference lies in those who decide to act even when it's hard, even when fear tightens its grip, even when everyone around says it won't work. You've seen the signs, you've understood what separates those who build wealth from those who stay stuck. Now the question is simple. What are you going to do with this? Because a year from now you could be in exactly the same place, watching another video and thinking, I should have started sooner. Or you could be looking back and feeling grateful that you made a decision today. Now do me a favor. If this video made you think, if it stirred something inside you, drop it in the comments. Tell me which sign represented you the most. Tell me what your first step is going to be from now on. I read every comment and I make a point to respond. And if you want to continue on this journey, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content. There are other videos here on the channel that will help you go deeper into all of this, from how to invest from scratch to how to develop the right mindset to build wealth. Go check them out and use each video as another tool in your arsenal. Before you go, I want to tell you one more thing. I believe in you, and I know it might seem strange to hear that from someone you may have never seen in your life, but I say it with all the sincerity in the world. I believe in you because you're here. You didn't close the video, you didn't get distracted, you stayed until the end. And that alone already puts you ahead of a lot of people who prefer to pretend everything is fine while life passes them by. Each one of us carries battles that nobody else knows about. Financial challenges, family challenges, emotional challenges. Things that sometimes keep us up at night and make us doubt ourselves. I've been in that place. And if I've learned anything along my journey, it's that all of us, without exception, have the ability to do more with what we already have. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what they told you that you could or couldn't be. You have abilities inside you that haven't even been tapped into yet. And when you start developing them, your life changes. And when your life changes, you inspire others around you to do the same. It's an effect that multiplies. So never stop studying. Never stop learning. Never stop questioning. Knowledge is the one thing nobody can take from you. And every book you read, every video you watch, every conversation you have with someone who knows more than you, all of that keeps building up and transforming you into someone you can't even imagine you could be yet. If this content made sense to you, consider subscribing to the channel. There's a lot more here that can help you on this journey. I'm here building this alongside you, and I'll see you in the next video, my friend.